Yeah, buddy. We are in the iHeartRadio Philadelphia studio. Buster being joined by the one and only Orange Cassidy from All Elite Wrestling. What's going on, dude?
I've been better. But
You've been going through it. It's been rough.
It's been a rough couple of years, it feels like. Saturday
night, you're at Liacouras Center with AEW Collision. You can grab tickets now at allelitewrestling.com. I would imagine we're going to see some developments of what you and Moxley are going through. Do you think he's going to answer you back in Philly?
The shows have been insane, and Philly is a very special place for me for professional wrestling and AEW. And I'm definitely going to be there, and I definitely know there's going to be another Philly resident there. And
talk about Wheeler.
I am, and where one is, they usually all are.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Roy, did you have anything else you wanted to hit, bro?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the Philly aspect for a second. I mean, you've kind of wrestled all around the world. You've wrestled in front of 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium, but is there something special about wrestling in front of like a super hot crowd like the one that you're going to see tomorrow in Philly?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Philly professional wrestling fans are
rabid.
Probably the most passionate, I would say.
Really?
You say passionate, I say rabid.
Rabid. Well, so I'm saying the right word so they don't get mad at me.
Right, exactly.
But no,
I'm one of them. So
but here's the thing: like that is rabid, crazy, vocal. These are all great things for professional wrestling.
Yep.
Because I feel that for professional wrestling, it's the only art form where the fans are literally a part of the show, and they can alter it. They can make me fight harder or get out of a that's the beauty of it.
Right.
The tough part about Philly, which is what makes it so great, is that the Philly fans are very smart. They understand good professional wrestling.
Sure.
They know what good professional wrestling looks like. They know what it is.
Yeah.
And if they don't think it's good professional wrestling,
they'll let you know.
They let you
They'll let you know. Yeah.
Let me ask you, do you have a problem with that, or do you kind of encourage that when wrestling fans are in the audience? Like I catch it sometimes when you've got the mic in your hand and you're trying to get through a point, but sometimes the audience, they either are trying to throw you off your game or trying to even show support.
Right.
But do you find that sometimes distracting?
I don't know if it's distracting is probably not the right word. It is, but I think it is like distracting would make it seem like I'm not expecting it. It's gonna happen. I feel very strongly that the people that come to our shows are spending their money that they worked really, really hard for to kind of like watch something and be a part of something for a couple hours and just forget all the other crap that's going on in their lives.
Sure. Especially during election season.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel that if you need to come and yell at the top of your lungs that you hate when I put my hands in my pockets, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
You can do what you want because
you bought the ticket.
You bought the ticket, and if you buy a ticket to an AEW show, you are a fan, and you that's fine. Just keep coming.
Last time you and I spoke, I complimented you. You're a wrestler with great hair, and we talked about other wrestlers with great hair. Can we talk about wrestlers, because you're taking on Moxley, and I got to be honest, horrible hair. I know he's bald, but like horrible hair when he had hair, doesn't look great bald. So can we talk about wrestlers with bad hair, like all-timers? Because I feel like in honor of Moxley, we got to create that list.
Well, that is the scary part about the people that have hair, but then they shave their head, and it's like, I hope you don't have a weird skull.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we got with Moxley.
Yeah.
Moxley's got a weird head.
Yeah, but it's also like I am very, very lucky and fortunate to have hair. I don't know what it's like that when your hair is leaving your head.
Like, what do you do?
How do you
like Pac? Right. You could tell Pac's losing it, but he's gonna keep as long as
he can. Right?
Yeah.
Would you do that if you were thinning? Would you just keep it long so you at least have something, or would you shave it?
I would like to tell you that I would shave it and just commit.
Right,
but I don't know.
You don't know because you don't know what's under there.
I've never been there.
Well, that's the thing. Would you ever do a hair versus hair match?
Oh.
I have.
Oh. And you won.
I wrestled Jack Evans, who was part of the Matt Hardy family. Like, this is 3.5 years ago. And Jack Evans is trying to get under my skin, trying to play the mind games. Matt Hardy coerced him into doing a hair versus hair match. I did not lose.
Yeah.
I beat him.
Yeah.
And he shaved his head. But yeah, I'm willing to put it on. Just like all things, it'll grow back, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. You better.
I like to think it would.
You're a wrestler with pretty unique, significant gear.
Mm.
So if we were to build a Mount Rushmore of all-time wrestlers with the best gear, who's on OC's list?
Wow.
I like that.
That's
Roy, do you got any faves that come to mind?
I got to think about this for a second. I mean, like, are we gonna go like Legion of Doom kind of gear? Like, you're like into like your.
That's pretty cool. Orange.
I think
what do you
that's
think
your
about the
like.
spikes?
I think it's that's your flavor, right? If you like football pads with spikes glued on them.
I mean, who doesn't?
And the mohawk. You know what was cool? Their hair was cool because it was like one had the mohawk, but one had the.
They committed.
Yeah.
They committed.
Exactly.
You got to commit.
Got to commit to it.
You got to commit.
Can't do it halfway.
And they committed. And I look at professional wrestling in a lot of aspects, and I think iconic is always a thing that we kind of like. We can't verbally communicate to each other, but like,
Sure.
oh, I like this gear because it's iconic. Like it's, but I take a lot of, I think about that a lot. So I think simple. I always thought Macho Man early had great gear. It was just 3 stars, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yellow.
Oh, the beauty and
Yes.
simplicity.
Yes.
I like that.
But then you also can't count out Ravishing Rick Rude, who would spray paint.
Great gear.
You know, like
The airbrush.
that was some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Miss
Like,
Elizabeth
yes.
on his ass.
Where do you
Yes.
go for that? Like who does that?
You know, it's like, oh, let me get my airbrush guy
Right,
to do
right.
this real quick. Rob Van Dam did that for a while, and I don't know if like gear is.
I was like Shawn Michaels, but there was a specific era, like right when he broke up with the Rockers.
Like the mirrors on the jacket, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
The chaps,
Boy toy.
always
The
chaps.
chaps.
That-
Yeah.
well, I like
That's
his
a wild
boots.
decision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Boots were, they were like motorcycle boots. Those were
Yeah.
kind of sick. I hated his gear when he came back when he was all like
Yeah, it was
sober.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, it's like he had like he kept the chaps on. I don't know. I think if you can pull off a high professional wrestling boot, like Biff Busick or like Oni Lorcan, I don't know if you guys know him.
Yeah.
He pulls off a great high boot, like a high boot, like all the way up. Like that was always kind of cool. Like
Yeah, because the old boots that like Hogan and Warrior were
Yeah.
wearing, like you don't see a lot of those.
No, you don't.
because they I hate wrestling in them.
I bet.
That's why I don't wrestle in them. They're just like you can't move your ankle, and it's a nightmare. I also have to say that the Joshis, they have some of the most elaborate and incredible gear I think I've ever seen. These girls come over from Japan and they have like 3 bags, and 1 bag is just dedicated to their giant robe that they're gonna wear to the ring.
Yeah.
It's always so. It's like another level of just the idea that I need to carry all that stuff around and get it made. It's not for me.
Yeah, I think with the amount of travel you wrestlers do, I mean, your gear is probably pretty practical when it comes to that because it's like you can throw that in
Throw in a
anything.
carry on, yeah.
Throw it, carry on. Like,
My buddy always said about you, he was like, you know why I like Orange Cassidy? And part of it is what you were wearing, but he was like, he always looks like he wasn't planning on being there that night. Like you were out getting Chinese food and just happened to roll by the venue to kick
And
somebody's ass.
you know
real
what?
quick.
those early days, that's probably true. It's like wearing. I am very. I like to look at professional wrestling sometimes through a lens of somebody who's not a professional wrestler. It was always interesting. You say like you're a professional wrestlers. You're wrestling fans,
wrestler,
which
yeah,
is like
yeah.
I've never really heard that before because I feel that I'm not. I feel that usually hardcore wrestling fans don't really like what I'm doing, but it's all the people that don't really know what professional wrestling, and they look at me, they're like, "Oh, I get that,"
Yeah.
because it's always like, if you're not a wrestling fan, you come to a show and you see 2 guys basically in underwear slapping each other in the chest.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, what do you do? Like, from that context,
Right.
and that's why I think a lot of kids will look at me like, oh, okay, I get this, and
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
Like if you're not a
It's
hardcore fan, you're
digestible.
like,
Right.
I can
He's very
get behind this
Yes.
guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, because on Wednesday, I mean, you had an amazing promo. Crowd was in the palm of your hands. How do you think, like, what is it about your style that, has made, like, the more common, I'll say, wrestling fans kind of gravitate towards you?
It is because it's one of those things that AEW allowed me to get to this evolution, right? Like I was able to grow. And if you were a wrestling fan, if you were an AEW fan from the very beginning, you literally saw me change and grow with you. And I feel that the AEW fans take a lot of pride and responsibility for me and my success. And I think they deserve to be brought on a ride that is satisfying and also maybe heartbreaking, maybe, they deserve it because they're basically with me.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you like a band or an artist before they start doing the big rooms.
And then you see them get to do the big rooms and you feel like, hey, I helped get that. Yeah, I helped this. And that's why, we're going to go to New England in a couple of weeks, next week, whatever. But like those fans take a lot of pride in me because I got to that's why Philly fans take a lot of pride in me because like, oh no, I used to see, he's mine and it's fine. Yeah. Claim me, please. Yeah. I need all the help I can get. But it's like, it is that I think the wrestling fans have seen me go through this change and they want to help, which is great. Please.
Well, we're going to see how that plays out. Of course, tomorrow night, Liacouras Center in North Philly. Shout out to Temple. You can catch All Elite Wrestling. Go to allelitewrestling.com right now to grab whatever tickets are left. But that is by the way, you're talking about a room that does get loud, that does get passionate, awesome. Right?
Yeah, and if you don't feel like going to allelitewrestling.com or whatever, just do AEW Tix, Tix, I think might be easier. Shorter. It might be easier because if you're like me, come on.
Yeah. The less letters.
I mean, and also we all just Google anyway.
Exactly.
Hey, Orange Cassidy, thanks for stopping by our iHeartRadio.
Thank you so much for having me again. I love coming here. It's easy for me. 20 minutes in and out.
Yeah, Jersey boy.
Love it.